A 75-year-old gentleman once sat across from me during a quiet afternoon in my clinic. His posture was calm, his voice steady, but his eyes held the unspoken frustration of a man who no longer understood what his own body was trying to tell him. "Dr. Zion," he said, "I've been doing it the same way for 50 years, but lately something feels off." He wasn't sick. He wasn't on new medication. His lab work looked stable for his age. But what was quietly affecting his health, his circulation, his confidence, and even his ability to feel pleasure was not the act of masturbation itself, something perfectly normal at any age, but how he was doing it. And like many older men, he had no idea that habits developed decades earlier were slowly working against him. I'm Dr. Michelle Zion, a urologist who has spent over 14 years working with men over 60 to restore strength, balance, and vitality without shame or confusion. You've been told masturbation is healthy, and it absolutely can be, when done in a way that supports aging muscles, nerves, and hormones. But after 60, certain private habits can begin to strain the body quietly, without dramatic warning signs, until suddenly sensitivity fades, performance shifts, or pleasure becomes harder to access. In this video, I'll walk you through the 7 masturbation mistakes older men commonly make, and how to correct them before they affect your long-term health, energy, or confidence. And I'll tell you now, mistake number 6 is the one almost every man gets wrong. Let's begin. Before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on. I share medically grounded, judgment-free men's health insights every week. And in the comments, let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing how far our community reaches. Now let's start with the first mistake, one that silently reshapes the way your brain and body interpret pleasure. Mistake 1. Relying on porn visual content as the main source of arousal. Over the years, I've heard the same quiet confession from men in their 60s and 70s. "Dr. Michelle, I don't feel much anymore, and I can't figure out why." These men aren't broken, they're overstimulated. As we age, the dopamine system, the part of the brain responsible for pleasure and motivation, becomes less adaptable. It doesn't rebound from high-intensity stimulation the way it once did. When explicit videos become the primary trigger for arousal, the brain gets flooded with rapid novelty that it was never built to sustain. Clip after clip, scene after scene, the brain adapts by dulling its response. Even if your body is physically healthy, your brain begins requiring stronger and stronger cues just to feel the same level of excitement. This is why real touch starts to feel muted. Intimacy loses its emotional spark. Pleasure becomes mechanical rather than satisfying. Most men assume this is simply old age, but more often it's dopamine fatigue. Your brain is exhausted from artificial intensity. The fix is not drastic. It's a reset. Try taking 14 days away from visual stimulation. Relearn your body's natural rhythm through presence, breath, and sensation rather than screen-driven excitement. When you give your brain time to recover, sensitivity returns in ways many men describe as surprising and deeply encouraging. Mistake 2. Masturbating while sitting on the toilet. Many older men retreat to the bathroom because it's private, quiet, and safe. But the toilet position, hunched forward, sitting on a hard seat, and holding tension for long periods, restricts blood flow to the pelvic region. After 60, circulation becomes the lifeline of urinary, prostate, and sexual health. When you repeatedly compress those nerves and arteries, especially during stimulation, you create small but accumulative stress on the very systems that help you stay functional. I've seen men who developed pelvic tightness, groin ache, weaker urinary flow, or post-urination dribbling without realizing the root cause was simply the posture they used during self-pleasure. Your pelvic region needs freedom, not compression. Instead of hunching over a toilet seat, try standing, reclining, or lying down, positions that encourage relaxation and blood flow. Your comfort, performance, and long-term prostate health all depend on giving those muscles and vessels space to work. Mistake 3. Rushing the experience. One of the most common habits I see in older men is treating masturbation like a task to complete as quickly as possible. "Let me just get it done," they say. But when you rush, you trigger a stress-based response in the nervous system. Heart rate spikes abruptly, blood vessels constrict, breathing becomes shallow, and the body stays in tension rather than drifting into the oxytocin-rich calm that supports recovery and relaxation. Yes, you might climax, but your body doesn't receive the restorative effects. Instead of feeling renewed, you feel drained or mentally flat. Over time, this changes the brain's association with pleasure. Instead of savoring sensation and depth, your body becomes conditioned to speed and pressure. The solution is deceptively simple. Slow down. Engage curiosity rather than urgency. As the body ages, slower rhythms produce more intense pleasure, more stable erections, and a more fulfilling emotional experience. Mistake 4. Ignoring the pelvic floor. Most men never think about their pelvic floor muscles, yet these muscles control everything from erectile strength to bladder function. They act as the foundation that supports the bladder, prostate, and sexual organs. When the pelvic floor weakens, a common issue with aging, stress, long hours of sitting, or poor posture, your entire system struggles to perform. I once treated a retired firefighter in his late 60s. He was active, disciplined, and took good care of himself, yet he couldn't understand why erections felt weaker and recovery took longer. The underlying issue was a severely underactive pelvic floor. During masturbation, many men bear down, clench the abdomen, or hold tension, which actually weakens the pelvic floor further. With simple awareness exercises, lightly contracting the same muscles you'd use to stop urination mid-flow, he began rebuilding tone, circulation, and control. Within weeks, he noticed meaningful changes. Mistake 5. Getting frequency wrong. Too often or too little men rarely talk about frequency, but almost everyone worries privately about it. Some fear they're doing it too often. Others feel guilty for going long stretches without sexual activity. Both extremes can cause imbalance. Overdoing it can irritate the prostate, drain energy, and turn pleasure into routine rather than renewal. Too little can lead to stagnation, reduced blood flow, and gradual loss of sensitivity from disuse. In my clinical experience, most men over 60 thrive with a rhythm of 1 to 2 times per week, done mindfully rather than compulsively. This keeps hormones stable, supports prostate movement, and maintains healthy nerve activity. It's not a rule, it's a guideline. The real goal is to listen to your body, not pressure it.